Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning to Equinoxe Radio for those on radio and to Equinoxe TV. It is a pleasure being with you all on this other edition of the program You and Your Health aired on Equinoxe Radio Multimedia. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. The World Health Organization recommends exclusive breastfeeding within the first 6 months of everyone's life. However, due to the busy schedules of a lot of lactating mothers, they are unable to respect this time schedule. On today's edition of the program, we'll be telling you about some breastfeeding tips and also how you can better store breast milk for a longer period of time. And with me in the program is our ever beautiful Ase Lucilengo. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Immaculate Fogwe.
It's a pleasure having you always.
Always a pleasure. And good afternoon to all our listeners and viewers.
And our guest is already seated right here with us. We have syvedzem Godlove Wepnyu. He is a nutritionist at the Mbopi Baptist Hospital, Douala. It is a pleasure having you on the program today. It's
my pleasure. Thank you, Madam Fogwe. I'm happy to be here.
Today we are looking at a very crucial topic, that is breastfeeding. When is it the appropriate time for a woman to begin breastfeeding her baby after birth?
Okay. As concerning breastfeeding, it is recommended by WHO that immediately the baby is delivered, that baby is placed to breast immediately. And normally what is practiced all around, like what we see, is not exactly what should be done. As a baby is delivered, that baby is placed on the mother's breast while in the delivery room. And what it is recommended by WHO is that that baby should maximally breastfeed within 3 hours, 30 minutes to 1 hour. And if the baby goes beyond 1 hour or beyond 30 minutes, we might have some challenges after, which may result in maybe the baby not being able to continue breastfeeding and latching well, or the baby may not be able, or the mother herself will not be able to produce milk the way it should be, and many other things that may concern the mother and as well the baby. So immediately the baby is delivered, the baby be placed to breast from the delivery room. If that was not done, maybe in case of a cesarean section, that should be done immediately the mother is taken out of the theater.
How important is breast milk as it has been? Because if the WHO is recommending it for a period of 6 months, it shows us something so important about it. Tell us more about this breast milk.
About breast milk is one of the liquids. We call it the only sterile food that exists on planet Earth. And so, breast milk has numerous benefits and advantages to the baby as well as to the mother. And number one, I want to talk about the foundation of life. The very first 6 months that is recommended by WHO, it is a period that is very crucial in the life of a baby, where the foundation is laid. And what will happen to this child, even to the adulthood, will depend on this foundation that has been laid. And number one, when you do that foundation effectively, that baby stands lesser chances to get ill. That's number one. And there are many. Like, let me talk about, we have digestive tract issues, we have respiratory infections. There are many of them that the baby is at less risk of getting them. And when a baby also is breastfed exclusively, this baby, if it happens, because in as much as we say when you breastfeed your baby for 6 months exclusively, that baby may hardly get sick. But if it happens that this baby gets ill, the recovery rate is as fast as possible. And also, when a baby is breastfeeding, let me say constantly breastfeeding without taking anything, it gives rise to a good development. That's the digestive tract, every systems of the body. That baby will tend to develop effectively. And to the mother, just to list maybe about two. One, it has been proven that if a mother is breastfeeding, that mother is at reduced risk of developing breast cancer, as a reduced risk of developing uterine cancer. And most often when these mothers deliver, you see some of them when they get to, they bleed after delivery. Now, when a woman is breastfeeding, it also lowers the number of times or the frequency of how long the mother was supposed to bleed after delivery. And also, when the mother is actually breastfeeding, and especially when she has done what we call early initiation, the baby has been initiated either in the delivery room or maximally 30 minutes to 1 hour. There are many other things that the mother will be able to. Her breast flow is, we will be confident to know that even after some few days, even if the mother had a problem with flow, but the fact that the mother started from the beginning, it increased the chances because the hormones will become alert and the mother will be able to have her flow effectively in a short while. They will have also some mothers when they deliver, they have issues. My breast is not flowing. Day 1, day 2, maybe day 3 is not flowing. But majority of those who have done this initiation as early as we are saying, they are at reduced risk of experiencing this problem. Just to name a few, there are actually many to the baby and to the mother.
Okay, Godlove, before we go ahead, before we continue giving out the numbers for those who like to join us on today's edition relating to the topic, we have 670-547049. I repeat, 670-547049, or you can join us via 656-62-2222, 656-62-2222 at the end. And now back to you, Godlove. We have some cases where women mostly don't understand the difference between exclusive breastfeeding and maybe the other side. Now, when we are talking about exclusive breastfeeding without water, what are the disadvantages of giving a baby or water while you are equally having this exclusive breastfeeding?
Okay, this is actually an interesting question. And for many mothers we have had to work with, some of them will not actually be seeing the reason why they should maintain exclusive breastfeeding without giving anything. Number one, I would say breast milk, as what concerns the content in a quantity of breast milk, if you want to equate it to 100 mils, to 100%, water will play a part of about 80 to 85%, which means a baby that is breastfeeding exclusively and respecting the number of times stipulated for that breastfeeding session and for the number of frequencies the child is supposed to do in 24 hours, that child is obtaining water that is able to hydrate that child and to keep the child till 6 months. Now, as what concerns maybe a disadvantage, now when a baby is delivered before 6 months, the only thing that child needs, or the only thing that can enter this child system and can't cause a problem, it is only breast milk. And so when you come in to introduce something else, one, like I earlier mentioned, breast milk is considered the only sterile food, especially when the mother is giving to the baby directly. We have a reduced risk of infections. Now, the moment you start to introduce water, we may compromise hygiene at a certain level. And at this level, this baby is at risk developing a digestive tract infection. If you see a baby below 6 months having to do with something...
We're coming back to you, Godlove. We have a call on the line. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Your name, where you're calling from, and your question. Good afternoon.
I'm calling from Douala.
Okay, your question.
Yeah. I want to ask the doctor what type of food that the mother can be eating so that she will be breastfeeding the baby good.
Okay. Well, we
the
answering.
type of food that the mother to have to take to comfortable the baby so that the mother will be feeling good to breastfeed the baby good.
Noted. We'll be answering that question in this program.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be coming back to that soon, but just continue with the water. How important it is to... You said we shouldn't give water during the first 6 months of breastfeeding, of course. But then we have an issue. It's often said water is life. If water is life and you are sure about the quality of water you're going to be giving your baby, does it pose a health threat to this baby?
Okay. Water is life, and these babies ought to get their water from breast milk. Considering that the age of 0 to 6 months, it is an age where the infants, they are still developing very immature systems. And the systems actually are fragile. And when you are introducing water to this baby, remember, the water is not just as natural as we think. Because this water is purified, there are some things that they are added onto it. And so, when we want to go by some of these additives, it may not be appropriate for these children. And so, what has come through breast milk, it is the only food that has been found safe that can enter the child's digestive tract and can be able to go out without posing a problem. And so, bringing in water, we are already exposing this child's digestive tract. And some of these children that will have a problem or a compromised digestive tract, they may have digestive problem along. Now, some of the people may want to ask us the question that, okay, if we are talking about exclusive breast milk, not giving water, so how do our babies get water? When I hear that question, I'm very happy because somebody who wants to know and is worried, a baby should drink water.
Exactly.
Yes, so we'll just respond to you by saying a breastfeeding mother is allocated to at least 3 liters of water in a day to be able to breastfeed normally. And when that is done, she will be able to produce milk. Yes, that will carry the water that the child needs and the food that the child needs to grow.
Okay, now let's look at some exceptional cases where women whose breasts or that have breasts that are not flowing, that sometimes you might give birth to your child and you're unable to breastfeed your child. In this case, what should a woman do?
I think that comes to the question our guests just asked about the right food needed. We could answer that too.
Exactly. Now, this is one of a common challenge that we definitely see in the field, where a mother will tell you that the reason why I didn't breastfeed my baby exclusively, it is because my breast was not flowing well. But now, when we always want to dissect this question and dissect this concern, we will see that majority of women that say their breasts were not flowing, actually, that was not the case. Maybe they could have an issue, a problem of, because when a baby sucks, as the baby is sucking, the baby doesn't tell us what quantity I am receiving. And so, when a baby sucks and maybe after the baby is crying, there are many things that it signifies. And mostly women will think that it's because my breast is not secreting enough. Now, for the cases where we have seen that maybe the breast were not secreting enough, number one, before you go to give a solution to it, we always do proper assessment where we'll be able to arrive at a conclusion to say that really this mother's breast is not producing. And before then, we need to verify the reason, because there are many reasons. There are many women that have delivered and they don't have breast milk. And there are reasons actually. For example, a woman gives birth and maybe because of one or two things, this woman entered depression. And breast milk production works with your steady psychology. And when that happens, it limits the hormones that are supposed to work to produce breast milk. And when that is happening, the mother will not have breast milk enough. And secondly, a mother can deliver and maybe the child fell sick. The child is admitted upon. Or a child has been delivered with some conditions or some little concerns. And the mother actually, or as well, the woman can have a poor diet. So we enter to check around to find out why. Because we not just want to solve a problem, we want to resolve the reason why the problem actually came. And when that is done and we are sure that breast milk is not available at the moment, what we're going to do now is, under the supervision of a nutritionist or an expert in nutrition or a pediatrician, we may now move to maybe an option which can be formula feed. But if that is done, we keep the mother on observation to make sure that as soon as possible, as breast milk returns, we wean the child completely off the formula to maintain breastfeeding, to be able to obtain optimal growth.
Okay, now, how often should a woman breastfeed her baby?
Okay, as what concerns frequency, first thing we encourage is breastfeeding on demand. That is to say, if a baby breastfeed now, in 5 minutes, the baby is asking, we give. But the normal frequencies we have every 2 hours. A baby that breastfeeds effectively, taking a breastfeeding session to at least 25 to 30 minutes. Some may do beyond. But a child that often will suck below 20, that child may not have sucked well. And that child may cry maybe some few times. But now, if breastfeeding on demand becomes a habit where the baby asks you regularly breast milk for, let me say, within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the conclusion again comes back to the fact the child is not eating well. So, considering the 2 hours, if a child sucks now, we have to count maybe up to 2 hours. That child may start to maybe worry at 1 hour 30 or 1 hour or so. But if the baby sucks now and the breast milk can't take the baby up to even at least 45 minutes, the baby is not sucking well.
What are some of the challenges faced by breastfeeding mothers in Cameroon?
Many of them.
Few, just because we are left to some few, I think 2 minutes or some challenges. I hope you can be here next week so we could trash this topic again. But then let's take those challenges first.
Challenge number 1,
yes,
like the one that we have already mentioned, problem of breast milk flow.
Okay, yes, you have mentioned
where
that
we
already.
we can get into it and we can be able to drive a solution. Number 2, we can have a problem where environment influence. Like you see a primate mother, somebody who gives birth for the first time, now surrounded by people who have very wrong ideas about breast milk or breastfeeding, and they tend to influence. The surrounding too can be maybe feeding and many things inclusive. So the surrounding have a big impact on breastfeeding, which can act as a challenge.
Let's focus on the career women in general.
Yeah.
They have their work. How do they cope with such periods?
That is another challenge. Work.
Yes, let's
and
focus
now,
on that.
That answer came from last year World Breastfeeding Week.
Okay.
Because the focus was work, breastfeeding, and work, or breastfeeding and employment. Majority of employed women or women who are working don't breastfeed exclusively. And now, in this case, the solution that came from WHO was that these women can go on maybe expressing their milk and storing. And interestingly, many people don't know that breast milk can be stored.
How long can it be stored?
Number 1, we have 3 storage facilities. We can have room temperature where it can stay for 4 hours to maximum 6.
Okay.
We can have refrigerator which can stay for about 3 days, maximumly 4. But climatic conditions also can influence the time.
Okay.
We can have the deep freezer where the breast milk can stay 3 months to 6 months.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, those are the possible storage facilities that we can store breast milk and use it later.
Now, as a nutritionist, you must have worked with several lactating mothers in Cameroon. Do the women actually respect the 6 months exclusive breastfeeding?
Some of them. Majority may not. But for the women that we are working with them, like for the ones we have already worked with them, we can have a good number that they do exclusive breastfeeding and they actually respect. Some will not do. Some will not tell us that they are not doing. Some will agree with us and maybe end up not doing. But we keep enforcing to make sure that the women actually respect that, giving them the advantages to their baby and to themselves as well.
Thank you so much, syvedzem Godlove Wepnyu. He is a nutritionist at the Mbopi Baptist Hospital, right in the economic capital city, Douala. Thank you so, Lucy, for being part of the program.
Pleasure.
And that's what put an end to today's edition of the program. It's always a pleasure being with you. We had technical assistance from Bertrand Bonzini and Rafael Dupanda. Stay in the company of more interesting programs on Equinoxe Radio and, of course, television. Bye-bye for now.